Hello, and welcome to an interview conducted at the Australian Institute of International Affairs on the 10th of March 2020 with His Excellency Jurij Rifelj, the Ambassador of the Republic of Slovenia to Australia. Here we discuss Slovenia approaching its second EU presidency and what initiatives it will have when it presides over the Council in 2021. So the last time Slovenia presided over the European Council was in 2008. How have foreign policy initiatives changed since it last presided?
Yeah, well, one can also see that in those our four priorities. Unfortunately, one has not changed, and it's the Western Balkans, because the situation has not exactly developed as it was envisaged maybe at that time, at 2008, but now what we have now, for example, sustainable development, this is definitely linked to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals agenda. And this is very important for us as a country, also in the European Union. So it's kind of we are adjusting our priorities to the priorities of international environment and the expectations and needs of the European Union as such.
How will Slovenia move forward with plans to integrate countries in this region into the Union?
Well, this is a kind of it's not a $1 billion, it's not 1 million, it's $1 billion question. It's like, no, definitely we believe that it has to be a gradual approach. And now, first we should start negotiations we should open negotiations, I mean, as the European Union with the Republic of North Macedonia and Albania. It was already planned for last fall, but due to some political disagreements that somehow did not take place. And then of course there are some other important processes simultaneously, like we are pretty much supportive of the continuous dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina, Serbia and Kosovo, but this is something that has to go on. But first things first, and let's start negotiations with these two countries, and then later maybe Montenegro could be, but at some point also Bosnia, but now the most prepared, the closest one to the negotiations are North Macedonia and Albania.
It seems that Kosovo will have some sort of difficulties with that, with the 5 out of the 27 member states not recognizing them as an independent nation.
It's difficult to say now how, of course, there is definitely an objective obstacle, but it's like we believe that it's like a very substantive dialogue between Serbia and Kosovo could somehow represent a positive direction, a kind of a cornerstone for somehow surmounting these obstacles in the future.
I'd like to move on to Australian and European Union relations. How will the Council under an EU, the Council under a Slovenian presidency move towards stronger trade relations with Australia? Will that entail maybe a possible free trade agreement between the two?
Yeah, well, let me put it that way. There, of course, it's like negotiations are on the way, as you are well aware. It's I think that now the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken, has has already taken place until now, and it's like, of course, there are certain, maybe certain divergent views, but this is in the hands of the European Commission to negotiate that, and we are supportive of this free trade agreement because we believe that this will be beneficial to Australia, not only from the pure perspective of trade, but also the diversifying of enlarging its space for maneuver when it comes to international trade. So to become less dependent on some actors and to be somehow to establish closer ties with more like-minded countries.
Absolutely. So as you've seen with the changes in the international world order, with the increasing influence of China in the Asia-Pacific region and the increasing volatility of US leadership, how will a Slovenian EU presidency approach these challenges in the region?
Yeah, well, it's like we will pretty much we will consult that with our EU partners and to see what would be the best approach. definitely, as you know, the European Union is not a champion of some kind of a radical moves and radical policies, but definitely in a way that it will be built on a dialogue, cooperation, and in order to keep the international regime that has been established after 45 in place. This is because this is something that also those relations are representing a very foundation of the establishment of the European Union, because the European Union was created in the post-World War II environment, and any kind of a radical changes to that environment would also represent a challenge to the European Union or to some of its members.
Just lastly, a touch on the current world climate. The UN Refugee Agency stated that the EU law cannot suspend the internationally recognised right to seek asylum. Does Slovenia support the EU's decision to prevent Syrian refugees fleeing from the growing humanitarian crisis in Idlib to seek asylum?
Well, of course, Slovenia is pretty much is a country that champions human rights, and especially the rights of the refugees. After all, one should not forget that during the war in Bosnia, at some point Slovenia hosted the refugees from Bosnia, whose number was almost 2% of the population in Slovenia. But of course, here it is, whatever decision is going to be made within the European Union, it will be, as all decisions are being made with the consensus among the member states. And now we believe that it's somehow in the year 2015 we don't see any need to repeat the events from 2015. And of course, we believe in a dialogue with all the countries, that safe countries that are there before the European Union, and to find a joint solution. And of course, also there is another way. It's like to bring this conflict in Syria to an end as soon as possible.